Thank you for joining the Soul Sisters Cafe. I'm Jordan, and Tracey is here with me. Tell us what we're doing in this episode.
Well, today we're defining definitions. I don't even think you can really do that, but we're talking about... I was trying to come up with 2 Ds. So what we're doing today is in all of our episodes, we use certain vernacular, certain language, certain words, and we want to make sure all our friends, that we're all on the same page with what the meaning, how we are meaning them. And so today, Jordan and I are going to go between, we're going to talk about defining different words and different concepts so that we're all on the same page.
Yes, and I think I heard a buzz. Do you want to silence your phone?
No, that was not a buzz on me.
Oh, I heard it.
I don't have a buzz.
All right, that's the Russians.
They're tapping us.
They're tapping us because we are channeling some major wisdom.
Oh,
and they want to stop us from doing that.
Thank goodness you said that, because speaking of channeling,
yeah,
we would like to also express that these definitions are, for the most part, very universal kind of truths, quote unquote. But we are using these definitions through the channelings of Paul Selig. I Am the Word. He's done a whole series by Paul Selig. He's a channel, and so these are, for the most part, based in the teachings of the channeling. Would you say, Jordan?
Yes. Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. And they're universal truths that so many spiritual path religions and teachers are teaching. But most recently, we're influenced by what we're diving deep into with those channeled texts. And so this kind of constellation of how these concepts work together is kind of coming through their lens right now. Exactly. It's the most recent lens that we're seeing through.
Mm-hmm. And the nice thing is they are very universal. I mean, so many other spiritual communities, people, religions use this very similar term. So, okay. And
absolutely. So the first term is vibration/frequency, which you may have heard from Abraham Hicks, from Law of Attraction, from quantum physics, from Bruce Lipton, from so many people. And so vibration and frequency, for me, it's really talking about the kind of in the invisible world, what we can feel. So if you imagine you walk into a room and 2 people have you have this feeling that you pick up instantly, and maybe these 2 people just had a fight, and you know that. Somehow you know that. They don't say a word, but you can feel that. Or when I was looking to buy homes, I walked into this house that was the creepiest house, and I don't even know what happened there, but oh my gosh, the energy in this house was completely different and singular compared to any other house. So, oftentimes I'll also think of it as how I feel about something. So if I want to check in on where's my frequency, I may feel very irritated. I may feel very angry or resentful or enthusiastic and optimistic. And those are all different places on the frequency chart, so to speak. So the lower emotions are further down, and then joy and appreciation and gratitude and optimism and love are very high up. So let me see if I've written anything else. So the guides in one of the books, I forget which one I got this from, but the frequency you hold is your emanation and your consciousness in vibration. So if my consciousness is dialed into fear, then my emanation, I'm going to have a certain kind of emanation. I'm going to be, holding on and protective and in a completely different place than if I am dialed into the frequency of love. You often use a term ground of being, which is a term that we learned together many years ago. But so you might check in on your ground of being. If you're going to call your son and say something or give advice, what's your ground of being? Or if I want to go talk to someone, have a conversation about a topic. What's my ground of being? Am I wanting to blame them? Am I dialed into blame? Am I dialed into resentment? Am I dialed into feeling like a victim? Or am I feeling really loving and connected? Where's my ground of being? Mm-hmm. So would you have anything to add to frequency vibration or have an example?
To me is that energy vibration frequency matches that. And one of the ways I think about that is before this really studying and doing this work, I was in the frequency, the vibration of victimhood. Mm-hmm. And so my reality and the people that I spoke to and how I interacted, that was the frequency I was emitting. So what matched that energy, like energy matches like energy. What matched that was people who were victims, or a victim is going to find a taker.
Right, a perpetrator.
Because then they can stay in victimhood. So it's still that same kind of level of a vibration. So when I really started to kind of understand that, I really liked that idea that, that frequency, that vibration was victimhood, and my whole life really was that. I perceived the energy that I got and the people that I attracted all were a part of that. Yeah. Drama. You'll see people who are high drama and all the people around them are high drama.
Yeah. And it's interesting because two things. I'm thinking of our friendship. So we both take two people, and this is a long ass friendship, people, over 30 years, but you take two people who are relating to victimhood. And then in my scenario, Tracy's my perpetrator and I'm the victim. And in probably in your thing, I'm the perpetrator and you're the victim.
Exactly.
To my thing, right? Gosh. And matchy. Look at that. We have a match.
Holy cow. That is so true.
Yeah. So
I didn't even think about that.
Yes. We've experienced that dynamic in our own relationship, which we want to go into in future podcasts because I think, people who are friends, there's challenges for those people we love so dearly. We still have challenges and we can still think that they're, blame them for what they're doing, quote unquote, doing to us and feeling very victimized by them. Meanwhile, the other person's feeling the exact same way.
Oh my gosh. I totally did not think about that. That was totally the vibration that we were emanating, the frequency that we were and attracting. Oh my gosh, that's fantastic.
Yes.
Did not even
Yes. And so, and the second thing is like you can change your vibration and move up to the frequency of love. And all of those same people can be in your life, but you're not going to be connecting in a different way. You're going to, as they say in the book, like you rise above the brick wall. So your perspective and your sight and what you can see is different. And so you can take the same world, your own world, and then experience it differently because your vibration, you have shifted a variable. You know what I mean? Like
100%. I mean, to me, an example is when my mom is snarky and I see her, I know that I love her so much. I'm so grateful for, bringing me into this world and for the truth of who she is. And we're going to get to that. One of those, right? Right. So she can be snarky and I can look at her and I can feel love. So what used to wind me up and upset me and hurt me and feel I was so hurt.
Yeah.
And
victimized. And the victimized to your mother.
And victimized. Right. So this is a great situation where I was totally victimized by stuff my mom would do. And now she can do the exact same thing today. And it does not penetrate at all because I see her for the truth of who she is.
Yes.
It might in a minute, but I can just go, oh yeah,
Right. So that takes us perfectly to number 2, which is Christ consciousness. Yes. So just dovetail right into that.
So I'll tell you, when I first heard this term Christ consciousness, which was in I Am the Word, and Marianne Williamson talks about the Christ, what the Christ means. It pretty much freaked me out. I was like, I'm not even down with that. I'm a little bit freaked out by that. I really don't know what that means. I don't like it. It feels dirty.
Don't be saying the C word.
Yeah. That's right. Totally.
Right.
And so then, and I've had some time to adjust to it,
Sure.
to what the meaning of it is, because when we talk about, the true meaning, which is so beautiful, and the Christ lives within all of us, and the Christ is the aspect. I'm going to read it. The Christ is the aspect of the Creator that can be realized in material form as us. So, like Jesus Christ, he had the Christ. He knew we all have the Christ within all of us. We are born with that. That is our, as we are children, all children of God. We all have that aspect of ourselves. What's that?
That seed or that force.
That seed. Yes. Mm-hmm.
And the words are could in different faiths would be different. Might not be the Christ, but I think virtually every major religion has this concept within it. And we're not married to the word God. We both happen to be raised with that word, I believe. But it could be creator, source energy,
universe,
divinity, the divine, infinite intelligence, universe, right?
And the thing is, if you think about it, so if with the term Christ is also synonymous with love. So basically what Christ consciousness is love. That the Christ consciousness is the aspect of the Creator that can be realized here. So, and I would pretty much say everybody that's listening, we have all experienced Christ consciousness. And what that feels like is if you have loved fully, it can be a sunset. It can be something that takes your breath away. It can be just something that takes your breath away. It is so profoundly beautiful to you. That is an experience. There's so much love. It is not just I love my husband or I loved my kid. It is this full experience of the frequency, the vibration of love. That is Christ consciousness. It is the aspect of the Creator that can be realized. And because the Creator, God, the source, is all love, there is nothing other than that. That is how we experience Christ. We are able to experience Christ. We live Christ consciousness. Christ consciousness, we don't become the Christ consciousness. The Christ consciousness comes through us, which is again why when you see that beautiful sunset or a baby, like birth, I mean, it is profound. You can't even use words for some experiences because they're so incredibly beautiful. And that is Christ consciousness.
So I'd like to add to that. So we're not saying that we are the Christ. It is Christ as Jesus, Christ as Tracey, Christ as Jordan, Christ as you, as everyone that is on the planet, as every creation, as everything that we see, the books, the planets, the creatures, the creations, furniture. Yeah. So all these things. So everything is created from the light. So everything is of the light and in the light. And when we say, okay, my tribe is in the light, but that tribe is not, or that tribe is in the light, but I am not. We are separating and we are not seeing with Christ consciousness, then we're not seeing the truth. So.
Right. That's the only truth. Christ consciousness is the truth of all of us, correct?
Yeah.
Which is love.
Yeah.
It is truth with a capital T.
And so when people I believe in the Christian faith, when they talk about the kingdom, inheriting the kingdom, it's the ability to see with those eyes, to see with the eyes of the Creator, the eyes of love, the eyes of Christ consciousness, and to see that person that's doing that thing that you don't like or you don't approve of, which could be someone from an opposite political party or family member or a child in addiction or whatever, or drug addicts or people who are selling drugs or, doing things you don't condone. Being able to see everyone as created from the light, from the Creator, from all of our Creator, and maybe disagreeing, but still realizing that we are all connected and we are all created from the same divine stuff. That is in seeing the kingdom, which is basically seeing with Christ consciousness and seeing the conscious that in everyone else.
That's even like a heaven on earth kind of thing.
Yes, exactly.
Is that we can do that. So I think, so Christ consciousness, again, you can use whatever word you want, but the idea is that is love incarnate in a sense where we are viewing, which is basically an aspect of the divine, an aspect of God. We are children of God, so we would have that. That is then coming through us, is using us to experience. Coming through us. We do not become it. The divine becomes us. The Christ consciousness becomes us. So it's sort of like how Jesus could be on the cross and still loving everybody and seeing them for the truth of who they are, which it was no different than him. He just embodied it. He was one with that. He became one with his Christ.
Yeah, he showed us a possibility.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
As a lot of the spiritual masters do.
Yes, because he's not the only one that's walked the face of this earth.
That's right. They show us a possibility. Yeah. And I think that dovetails perfectly with the next one, which is divine worth. Mm-hmm. And so if we are all created from the same creator, we are all the manifestation of the divine in form, or the aspect of the creator that can be manifested in form, then we are all divinely created, every single one of us, and everything that we see and everything that's here, even the galaxies and the planets. We are all divinely created and therefore divinely worthy because of what and who we are. And we are all divinely equal. So that's it, right? Jesus on the cross, seeing his mockers, the people who are mocking him, and his persecutors as equal. And same thing with family members or people on opposite aisle of the political aisle from you, or different points of view, or different skin colors, or different genders, or different religious beliefs. We're all divinely equal, divinely worthy, and that is true, capital T, true, and it is upon us to be willing to allow that worth. Because I know I've struggled a large part of my life with feeling less than other people. Mm-hmm. And so that's a big part of my weight struggle that I've used that to believe, one of many things, to believe that I am less than other people. I'm less than the thin people. I'm less than the people who have no blemishes on their skin, the flawlessly skinned people. Do you have anything to add to that divine worth?
This is the work of embodying the Christ consciousness. Part of it is knowing our own divine worth, because if we know who we are, we know ourselves as divinely worthy. And I know for me, that goes to victimhood, feeling like a victim, pleaseaholic, because I want to please other people so they'll like me, so then I'm worthy. I mean, but we simply are worthy. Simply because we are all one, we are all the same. And it takes some, I know for me, this one, there's a lot of growth here.
I'm sorry.
No, just divine worth. I think that when we can see divine worth in everybody. So when I can see somebody's own, I can look at my neighbor who used to just drive me crazy. I would just judge her so much because she's very fake and it looks to me like she's fake, whatever. But now I don't. Now I see her she's completely divine. She's an aspect of the divine. And I don't love the behavior. Don't have to agree with it. Don't have to go out to dinner with her. Don't have to be friends. But just like Jesus on the cross, he fully loved those people that were persecuting him because he saw them for the truth of who they are. And we are that. Even when we're being, I'm being self-righteous, I'm being all those things, I am still divine. I am still worthy.
Right. Yeah.
No matter how I'm being.
Yeah.
I just don't know it. I've forgotten it.
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
I just imagine how the world would be different if we all had that knowing that we're all divinely worthy, because so much strife ensues because one group puts themselves above another group. and thinks that they're more entitled or more worthy. And then you get a very righteous attitude. And therefore I am justified in making these policies or treating people a certain way or excluding them from certain rights because my group is better than that group over there. But that is all ignoring and going against the true essence that we are all divinely worthy, created from the same creator. No one created better or less than the other. Yeah. And so divine equality, divine worth. And yes, as you started by saying, that's the work, is to accept that and to claim that and to allow that. So I'm taking an improv class right now. And tonight is the first night of the advanced class. And
Mazel tov.
Thank you. And I was telling David last night, I'm a little nervous to go to class, and so I'm worried about not being good, people not liking me, looking like a fool. And when I was taking the last class, what I would do is I would remind myself on the drive over, we're all divinely worthy. We're all divinely equal. They're not, they may be funnier than me. Yes. They may have more experience, but that doesn't change our equality. That doesn't change our level of worthiness. And I may have things to learn for sure. For sure. I have so many things to learn. But that doesn't change the essence of the worth. So then I walk in as an equal, and I don't walk in a needy stance. And then I walk in loving and able to celebrate if they're funny rather than being, worried, and afraid that they're funny because, oh shit, I'll never measure up to that. And so I can let go of the fear, and then I can get into the fun and the joy and be a good student and learning and whatnot. So that's just a practical way where I invite it in when I see that I'm so worried because I'm forgetting that my own divine worth.
Yes.
And to walk in remembrance of that.
And here's the beauty of divine worth is that so sometimes it's really easy for me to see the divinity in the sunset, or the divinity in a baby, or the divine worth in a child who's sitting by himself, or and he's worthy of everything, or whatever. It can be super easy for me to see the divine worth out there. But the nice thing is when I'm conscious of seeing the divine worth in if I can choose to see it in the little child, I can choose to see the divine worth in the monster, quote unquote. And then if I can see it in that, I can then see it in myself too. It's just this, as I can see it in myself, I can see it more in others. As I see it in others, I can see it more in myself. Mm-hmm. It's like this big, beautiful circle. And I do love, I want to just put an exclamation point. Jordan and I would go to these Kyle Cease workshops in California. We did that. That was super fun for us. And I remember sitting there and I would say to her, he's just no different than we are. We are all one. Mm-hmm. Like having this concept, like I used to go around and think, oh, the Marianne Williamsons, the Kyle Ceases, or the Mac Hans, or the whoever's, people on The Secret. Oh, they're just better than me. But they're just different in these physical experiences. I am the same. They are the same. There's nothing different. So it's like with the improv. You can walk in there and now you're giving so much love to yourself and to everybody there. I mean, that allows me to give love back to myself, to see my own divine worth. We're no different. Mm-hmm. Right. I think it's such a gift. Such a gift. Yes. And not so easy all the time. So anything else on that one? Sorry.
No. How about some fear and love?